recording. Okay, we start simple, and then, again, it's just questions and no right or wrong answer. So what's your role with Royal Far West Telecare?
So I'm the business director here at Royal Far West, and so my role with Telecare is from a funding perspective, from an advocacy perspective, from a business development perspective, relationship building and marketing. And strategic direction around the future of the service at an executive level.
Oh, yeah. And have those functions ever sat under another person, director role at any time during, and obviously I know you've come in as Telecare was already existing to some extent.
Yes, so I've only been here for 18 months, so prior to that there was a different structure here, a different person in this role, and then prior to that role was different as well. So there has been both different leadership but also different organisational structure in that time. And because of our growth, particularly around, this was an important part of my remit, was really professionalising the business development approach, I suppose, at a larger scale.
Yeah. Okay. And in what ways do you think that has helped Telecare grow, sustain, deliver quality service here?
So I think the big areas are at an overarching level. We've done a lot of work to build awareness of Royal Far West. So I think knowledge and understanding of what we do as an organisation and the role that Telecare plays within that. I think that we've worked hard to build awareness around that. So I think that there is a greater knowledge now of us providing this service, both to funders but also to end users and buyers of the service. I think as well we've done, my team really took on advocacy really at its beginnings, and so we've done a lot of work amplifying some of the research, invisible children, so sort of getting it on the radar of policymakers that it's a potential solution to a very large set of problems within and complexity within rural and remote communities. So I think that that's helped. I think from a business development point of view, I've seen us grow the value of our contracts and the longevity of those. So that's been a big step change for us. And I think in recent work we've done a lot more knowledge and understanding around the market, which we haven't really translated that knowledge yet into any kind of use at this stage. So I think there's a lot more to come.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So it was perfect segues into sets of questions I have as well. So 3 things you said are good jumping points to others. So we'll see. You mentioned the buyer's view of Telecare. What do you think the buyer's view of Telecare is? Have you seen it change or not change? Where do you think it's going? Are there any buyers that Royal Far West could engage with and aren't? Are there buyers where Royal Far West has engaged with but has chosen not to? So I'm thinking of growth or paring down and choices within that.
So I think probably the first thing I'd say is that we actually don't understand our buyers' intentions well enough at this point in time, and that's kind of been a focus for us to try and get some more data on that, and that sort of current work. I think it varies. We also don't have a good sense of our, it's more of a commercial term, but our share of wallet. So if buyers aren't buying our services, what are we actually competing against? Because it's not necessarily the same service, someone providing the same service. It's actually using that funding for other services that may be quite different to ours, but it's coming out of the same bucket of money. So we don't know enough about that. We don't understand that. So I think so that's the first thing. We need to know more. We need to understand it better. I think at times we've had some retention issues. So I think that we kind of at a strategic level, we don't know enough about churn and what helps us keep schools and what helps us and what's causing us to lose schools, for example, from that perspective. I think all of it is so new relatively new for us, but for a lot of our buyers, particularly our other core market in primary health networks, it's new services, it's a new model of commissioning or purchasing services, and then rolling those services out, and kind of roles and responsibilities and how you evaluate those services. All of this is new and changing. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, I would say, and you kind of have to be quite adaptable and nimble to manage that. And you also have to be able to problem solve fairly quickly, which I think the team here does very well. I think there's also roles and responsibilities change. So there's kind of like a regulated market and then a deregulated market. And so with the regulated market, we're fixed on pricing, we're fixed on metrics, we're fixed on roles and responsibilities and timeframes, and then you've got other situations where there is a bit more flexibility and where you can influence. Probably around government, it's much more regulated, that service environment, so you're almost delivering something a little bit different. So there's more to learn there, and I think there's more around managing those relationships to ensure that we don't dilute our value within those kind of markets. So I'll give you an example, and obviously the service delivery team are a lot closer to these issues, but one conversation that I had with the psychology team was around a primary health network had a particular contract, had the responsibility for triaging, and they were sending through clients that were way too complex for the ideal outcome using telecare as the delivery mode. And so in theory, according to the contract, we should reject those participants because they didn't fit the criteria. But then you've got all of these moral and ethical obligations around, well, if those children have no access to any other services, is some telecare better than others? But then you're going to be delivering and not being able to hold up the same performance metrics because it's actually not the right client for the right type of intervention. So I think there's some... I don't know whether I was straight off the question there, but I think that there's a lot more to learn on both sides of the fence, funders, buyers, and then also, of course, the end users.
Yeah, that's very useful. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we're on the buyer side of things. So it's really